Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for your trust as we continue through the hurricane season. All right, getting to this, by the time you're watching this is Hurricane Helene. It is on track. From everything I've been talking about, I think for about the last 10 days, it is on track, but that means a devastating hurricane that is going to move up to the Big Bend of Florida. In the short term, we have been seeing those impacts, even some rain overnight in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, parts of Cuba, and extreme northeastern sections of the Yucatan, and right here, the remnants of John over on the eastern Pacific side. More rain coming into parts of southern Mexico again, and we've had the rain and storms bubbling up and not organized. Had a couple thunderstorms just a few hours ago over toward Dominica. We've seen some unsettled weather in the eastern Caribbean. So this track that I showed you, I think maybe 5-6 days ago, has held for the most part. This is going to roll onshore toward the Big Bend by tomorrow night, tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, with winds around 125, could be around 135. Gusts are going to be higher than that. It is going to be a very powerful system. Short term for today, as it is now developing into a hurricane, still those strong hurricane to tropical storm conditions, western Cuba, back toward the extreme northeastern sections of the Yucatan Peninsula. Very powerful system. It'll be a major hurricane tomorrow, and look how tightly clustered those models are, right on track. And then when it gets up here, it's going to be a big flooding issue. Georgia, very high impacts with this. Flooding in parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, back toward the higher terrain of North Carolina and even South Carolina. This is a massive event impacting millions and millions of people. Short term, it is going to strengthen very quickly. Most indications bring this to a Category 3 hurricane just over the next 24 hours. Could it be a Category 4? Absolutely. There's not a lot of wind shear. Unfortunately, wind shear are winds in the opposite direction that could cut off the thunderstorm tops that are bubbling up, but there's not a lot of wind shear, so everything could kind of build vertically, and that's not great. Of course, the water temperature is so super warm, so the environmental conditions are unfortunately conducive for further development. Never liking to see that. There's the cone, those tropical storm winds, near hurricane winds brushing by Cancun throughout the next couple of hours. This orange shading, those are the tropical storm winds, and then we'll see the hurricane winds just expanding. Watches and warnings for a large portion. Again, the cone is just to tell where the center may go, but these systems are huge. This one is going to be almost 700 miles plus wide. That is a really large system, and that's why it's impacting the northeastern Caribbean, or rather western Caribbean now, northeastern sections of Mexico, and then as you get back toward western Cuba. Heavy rain bands still filtering in through the day. Here's the American model. There's the rain with the remnants of John. I mentioned some spots 30 inches in southern Mexico. I don't see John crossing over or anything like that. That's unfortunately going to be holding tight there, but by tomorrow, this becomes a powerful hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, all hurricanes are powerful, but we're talking Category 2, Category 3, potentially Category 4 as it rolls onshore. So everything I've been showing you the last few days, just continue with those preps in those areas that are going to take a direct hit, and then you see that rain just feeding in. Landfall will be tomorrow night, still around 8, 9 o'clock. Rain bands kind of filtering in, just feeding in over some spots. Even the Bahamas, we'll see some rain bands, northern and central Bahamas, and then look by Friday morning, racing up into north Georgia. Tropical storm impacts will be as far north as Atlanta, and then tons of rain up here. This will be overshadowed as always. Sometimes that happens with the weather and how the other entities may handle it. There's going to be all sorts of flooding issues, river flooding issues. I mentioned Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of North Carolina and South Carolina, of course, high impacts in Georgia. So short term, very strong winds, or at least gusty winds, right in here, 80, 90 kilometers an hour, 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, short term clipping by western Cuba. And then you see those brighter colors there, the yellows popping up. Those are winds of 90 miles per hour or 145 kilometers an hour. Then it's just going to increase. This model doesn't do the best job with the winds, but it shows that circulation. But I do believe strongly that the winds could be 120 to about 130 and even higher gust in this right where it rolls on shore. Tons of downed trees in through here, North Florida, stretching right back toward Georgia. The issue is it is going to be racing, which means as it goes very fast up in here, it doesn't have a lot of time to lose its intensity. And with that tree canopy, a lot of downed trees, of course, gusty winds as we head into Friday, and then eventually the system diminishes, but watching out for the high impacts with the flooding and the winds. major event ongoing with this, but I was trying to give everyone the heads up days and days ago. So overall, that has held. Now, short term, as this is becoming a hurricane, as I mentioned, probably already is by the time you're watching this, near Cancun, stretching back toward western Cuba, those tropical storm to near hurricane conditions with those gusts around 95 miles per hour or 95 kilometers an hour, 60 miles per hour plus, and very heavy rain in this location. But it is moving, so it is going to be moving out of the picture. Still for us in the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, those feeder bands still rolling in. So at times, like we had last night and earlier this morning in parts of Jamaica, we may still get clipped by some showers and storms, and of course watching that throughout the Cayman Islands. So Cayman Islands right here, here's Jamaica. There are the scattered showers and storms, Barbados down through Trinidad. Here's what's going on with the remnants of John right in through here, but it's these feeder bands in the Western Caribbean that continue to reach in, and that's why we're still going to see periods of rain across the Cayman Islands, but heavier weather near Cancun and back toward western Cuba. Here's the front up here steering all of that. There's John, or what's left of John, just hanging there with immense flooding. This is one of the most significant storms that we've seen on Earth this year, and it is totally getting overshadowed what's going on over here with over 30 inches of rain. But there we go with Helene, a major hurricane, the European model showing that, like the American model, moving in same time frame, the Icon German model. I check everything, and I check the environmental conditions, all on track, everything just kind of feeding into this system. This is by tomorrow afternoon. This will start to work in with some very heavy rain, of course, with a landfalling tropical system. Obviously, the rain, the wind, the storm surge will be upwards of about 15 feet over toward extreme northeastern sections of the Gulf of Mexico. Obviously, that is life-threatening. That's why they're doing those evacuations and all of those necessary preps. And then on Friday, all of the heavy rain right in through here. Tennessee River Valley seeing some of that. Substantial river flooding, even some mudslides possible. So this looks to be a Category 3 as of now. Once it comes on shore, that would be winds roughly around 120 miles per hour or about 200 kilometers an hour. There is a chance it becomes a Category 4. May not quite have time. Those would be winds of 130 miles per hour or higher, or 209 kilometers an hour. So those are the categories we're looking at with the landfall of this. There's just not much stopping it from strengthening, and that is one of the issues. And there's another system that's about to get a name. I'll get into that in a moment. But looking at the rain, look near Cancun, some additional rain, which is off my charts. And some of this already happened for today, but upwards of 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of some rain. And that has been even scraping by near the Cayman Islands, most off just to the west. Most of the heavy stuff west and north up toward Cuba. Jamaica will see that chance of some rain and storms. Here's the leftovers of John. This is way off of my charts. I mentioned just kind of mind-blowing amounts of rain here, totally overshadowed. But if you go back at the end of the year and you look back at the major systems this year, yes, of course, Helene is going to be one of them. Beryl was one of them. But this here so overshadowed what's happening there. Crazy amounts of rain, and I'll keep you updated on that, of course. But that swath of rain, here we go in Cuba. You see that here? An additional today, 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. And then, of course, much more in the core of this, where the core of a hurricane or landfalling tropical storm goes. Usually you could get upwards of a foot or 12 inches of some rain. So Helene, that is the one that is on track. Had you covered on that. Now it's just the point of just waiting for it to make landfall as folks are making the preps. If you are dealing with that, everyone across the Caribbean and everywhere else is, of course, thinking of you. Isaac is the next name on the list, and that looks like it's trying to develop out in the Atlantic. Let's take a look again. Remnants of John, which could become John again. If it does kind of do its thing again, it would get a name again. There's Helene, which will be a super powerful hurricane. Out here, watching those scattered showers, we've seen some of those around Guadeloupe, Dominica, Antigua, Barbuda, down through St. Vincent the Grenadines, St. Lucia, some showers. But let me show you the closer picture, then get into what I believe is going to become Isaac. Here are those feeder bands. Those are bands of rain rain that just wrap into this. That's why Cayman Islands today, across the Cayman Islands, we could get some additional rain and clip by some in Jamaica. There's some of the heavier rain. By the way, Nicaragua, especially central and western sections, have been dealing with some flooding the last several days. Down through Panama, some scattered rain and storms. Colombia too. Cuba, still some leftover rain. Northern Bahamas, seeing a few of the very far outer bands. Some enhanced rain today with Helene that lifts to the north, and again tomorrow. Then on Friday, we're looking at spotty showers for many of us, just kind of hit or miss. Coming onto your screen there, though, that is what looks to become Isaac. And look at all this rain still in the same spots. That's why I've been really mentioning this. Southern Mexico, just something we haven't seen in quite some time. I'm going to go back and look at the records as far as just record rain in parts of Mexico, because that is just out of this world. Now, watching these scattered showers and storms today, here's the next spot that should develop into Isaac. It looks like it is becoming at least a tropical depression or tropical storm. Now, here we are, British U.S. Virgin Islands, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, keeping an eye on these systems that are coming across. But as I showed you, I think about 6 days ago, the indication is that this will make that curve. Now, I want to widen out and show Bermuda in a second in the Atlantic region of Canada, but that should safely make a curve. So even if that becomes Isaac, that should stay out to sea, so to speak, but it will, of course, throw some heavier rain up toward, say, the United Kingdom down the road. And then watching a couple more tropical waves that are hinting at some development. I'll put those on the back burner for now, but there are those seas building. I mentioned with the seas, you can see the reds popping up here. That's about 6 meters, which equates close to about 20 feet, and then it will get even higher. That big push of water, that's why I mentioned that storm surge, upwards of 15 feet near where this comes on shore. So Helene, of course, those extremely dangerous seas, but it is going to be such an abnormal rise in water levels. They are going to break some records. The storm surge in here will be similar to Michael, what Hurricane Michael did. Not the same spot, though, but more to the east. A very similar scenario shaping up there. This here is by the time we get into Friday, of course, some choppy seas as well, just to the north of the Bahamas. Now, here's the big picture. There is Helene wrapping up. Atlantic region of Canada, keeping an eye on what could become Isaac. As of now, I don't see that clipping by Bermuda or the Atlantic region of Canada. Plus, the fronts do help out. You see one system moving in late tomorrow, some rain moving over toward New Brunswick. We'll see a better chance of rain. These fronts tend to help keep things out, but look at all that rain spreading right there. This here is by the time we get into Friday afternoon, mid-Atlantic all the way back toward the Tennessee River Valley. Extremely heavy rain and a lot in the way of down trees, because that thing is still going to have some gusty winds even on Friday. So Jamaica, we're looking at a 30 to 40% chance of rain and storms today. Cayman Islands, still the elevated chance with Helene making its move into the Gulf of Mexico. And then we have the scattered showers and storms. Not an organized system, but some pockets of flooding are possible. Keep me posted in the comments. Trinidad and Tobago, scattered showers and storms the next few days. The next 3 days, same thing in Barbados. It's just unsettled, and we'll do that again in St. Lucia. A 50 to 60% chance of scattered showers and storms. The next couple days in Grenada, about a 50% chance. In the next 3 days, St. Vincent the Grenadines, a 50 to 60% chance. Running at about a 50% chance as we get into Martinique. Rain chance tomorrow and Friday in Dominica, 50%. We already had some rain around. Still an additional passing shower storm is possible today. It was an unsettled morning. Guadeloupe, 40 to 50% chance. 30 to 40% chance in Antigua and Barbuda. Next couple of days, 20 to 30% chance in St. Kitts and Nevis, but it picks up on Friday. Rain chance about 20% today in Anguilla and St. Bart's, a 40% chance tomorrow, and a 20 to 30% chance St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. 30 to 40% chance of some pop-up showers and storms across Puerto Rico, and a 20 to 30% chance U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Bahamas, northern and central Bahamas today, some fast-moving showers with the outer fringes, the overall flow of what we're seeing now with Helene. Rain chance 30% in the Turks and Caicos, just about a 20% chance the next couple days in the Dominican Republic, and we are hot in Haiti. If we are dry this time of year, we are still very hot. 30 to 40% chance of some spotty showers and storms in Belize, 20% chance in Aruba, 20% chance Curacao and Bonaire. There is a slightly higher chance of some rain in the ABC Islands over the next few days with that disturbed weather in the Eastern Caribbean. Passing shower possible in Guyana. Rain chance stays pretty low the next few days as we work our way into Suriname. Now, of course, Cuba, I've been highlighting that. The heavy rain totals, western end of Cuba Cuba today. The tropical storm conditions, western end of Cuba. Watching out for some flooding, Costa Rica and Panama. Watching out for that flood threat in some spots in Nicaragua. Some spots have been dry, almost too dry. Others have been dealing with the flooding. Honduras, 30 to 40% chance of rain. 50 to 60% chance Guatemala and El Salvador. 40% chance as we work our way into Mexico City. 60 to 70% chance across the Yucatan. But that's as a whole. Merida, for example, drier. We swing back toward Cancun, dealing with those tropical storm conditions right now. 40% chance in northern Colombia. 30 to 40% chance as we work our way back toward northern Venezuela. And about a 20% chance in Bermuda. So again, tons going on, of course. Helene becoming a hurricane, a major hurricane, major impacts with that will be so widespread, making landfall late on Thursday. That new system I'm watching for development in the Atlantic, but that I am more optimistic about, that one will try to stay away from land and stay out to sea. And of course, watching the remnants of John near South Mexico. So pick your spot, a ton going on. Now, if you're dealing with those preps, if you're dealing with Helene, we are all thinking about you. Leave the comments safely, what you have going on or may not have going on in the comment section. I'll try to get to those throughout the day and know that behind the scenes, I'm watching everything nonstop. I do really hope you're well and have a good rest of your day.